We're up to lecture 3. From this point you will take the ServSafe alcohol training, which is also online, and take our test and then take the ServSafe alcohol test. So we're just about done. You're responsible for ensuring that your guests are of legal age to drink, whether those guests are in your restaurant or whether they're in your home. If you serve an underage guest, you can be held criminally liable. That means you could go to jail as well as other penalties. The date of birth is the most often altered item on the ID, as we all know that. That's what everybody cheats on, so that's the thing you're going to look the most for. In most states, only certain forms of ID are acceptable. Driver's license, state ID card, passport, military ID. Most important being they all have a photo of the person on them. Some jurisdictions don't accept out-of-state driver's licenses. Why do I have that red? Because maybe you need to remember that. States place certain features on minor IDs to make them easy to identify, such as designated colors, text, specific layout. Might be printed vertically, might print the date that they will be 21, so it makes it easier for somebody who's scanning 500 people to get into a nightclub to pick out that this person is a minor. A genuine ID has special features: proper text, images, correct license number, like correct sequence of numbers, a proper photo. So follow the proper procedures for checking IDs, which would include take the ID out of the wallet so you can see both sides, because a lot of times the back will be blank. A lot of times the people who do forgeries will specifically make them not look like real ones, so that if they get arrested, they'll say, well, look, it's obviously not a real one. So that's why you look at both sides. Seek another ID if necessary. If you're not too sure about the one, ask them if they have a second ID. Compare their signature to what's on the card. Ask them for information that's on the card. How much do you weigh? How tall are you? What's the color of your hair? Which, if they borrowed one from somebody, they might not. They might have to think about it. If they have to think about how tall they are, then that would be an indication. Refuse service to a minor in the correct way, meaning being nice. Don't make them feel like a jerk. Just, I'm sorry, sir, ma'am, but we're not able to serve you. Be firm. Always say, I'm sorry. Don't sound like you're calling them a piece of crap, and don't embarrass them. Take the correct steps if you spot a fake ID, which includes refusing service or entry to your establishment. Follow the policy of your company, which may include confiscating the ID. If a party of 3 enters and 1 comes to the bar and orders 3 drinks, what should you do? You need to get all 3 people. You either go there or have them come up to you, and you check the IDs of all 3 people. You take over a table while the waiter goes on break. A guest orders a refill and he looks young. What should you do? You need to ask for his ID. The fact that the other waiter may or may not have asked for the ID, you don't know that. So you need to, if you're serving a drink, you need to have ID that person. Guest orders a drink for somebody else who is coming. What do? You would bring the drink after checking that person's ID, so you don't bring it until the person gets there, check their ID. No matter how many times or how many ways they ask the question on the test, you can never serve a guest unless they have shown you proof that they are 21. You must follow specific steps when stopping service to a guest. Alert a backup, somebody to watch the process while you do it in case there's a problem. Get help from the guest companions, as they can help diffuse the situation. So, for example, that person goes to the bathroom, the person you're worried about, or somebody else from the table goes to the bathroom. You might grab them and say, hey, but help me out here. I can't serve your buddy anymore, and could you talk to him? Would make it easier. Wait until the guest orders another round before refusing service. Don't hand them a drink and say, "Okay, this is it, but that's your last one." Then you got somebody who's mad for the duration. So just wait, and maybe they won't ask for another drink. But if they do at that point, you tell them you're not going to serve them anymore. Offer the guests a non-alcoholic alternative. Can I offer you a mocktail? Can I offer you a Coke? Maybe a free one, just to get them to not drink anymore. And complete a report. So if you have a problem, if you're stopping service to a guest, you want to complete a report so that in case there's a problem later on, you've got documentation. Ensure the intoxicated guests get home safely. So call them a cab, get one of their friends to take them home, but don't let them drive. Ask a friend to drive them home. Try to convince them not to drive and ask them for their car keys. If they give you the keys, then find them a way home. If the guest insists on driving away, warn them that you'll call the police, and do that. Never use physical force. You can't stop them, but that's the case where you would call the police and say, get the license plate number, description of the car, so that they can stop the person. You may have to deal with guests who are intoxicated when they arrive at your establishment. They pull up to the front door, or they walk in the door, and they're bombed already. Try to refuse entry. Try not to let them into your establishment. Don't serve them any alcohol for sure. Ask them for their keys, warn them about police, and call the police. This is even if they come up and they refuse entry, you're still going to ask them for their keys. You can see that they're drunk, and you're going to tell them that if they leave, you'll have to report them to the police. You can't overserve guests even if they have a designated driver. So the fact that somebody says I'm the designated driver does not mean everybody else can get platsoed. They all have to drink responsibly, because you're not sure that they may not drive. You can't be positive that they won't drive. Let the designated driver know you won't overserve any of them. If you start to drink, watch them like you would any other guest. If the designated driver starts to drink, not if you start to drink, then watch them like you would any other guest. It's against the law to allow certain activities to go on. So if you see gambling, prostitution, or drugs, you can be criminally liable if you allow that to go on if you don't notify anybody. So notify your manager and the police, or you could wind up in jail. You could wind up in more trouble than they're in. What if your guests are friends or relatives in your home? Do the same rules apply? Absolutely. Grandma might not sue you, but the parents of the kid she killed might. Or the parents of the 21-year-old you let drink too much and they were in an accident and died. Or worse than getting sued or going to jail is having to live with what you helped to happen. So you are responsible. When your buddies come over for the Super Bowl and you just let them get platsoed and jump in a car, you can be held liable. Follow the right steps when handling a potentially violent situation. Anticipate problems and notify your manager before the situation becomes violent. If violence is likely to occur, call the police. Try to separate other guests from the situation and never touch or attempt to physically restrain the guest. So that's the guest who's causing problems. So you just try to keep everybody away from the situation, and you call the cops and you let them deal with it. You can never restrain the person yourself, no matter what. Unless, I guess, if you think they're going to kill somebody, I suppose you have to. But other than that, you're putting yourself at risk if you do restrain the guest. Follow company policy when completing an incident report when an incident occurs on the premises. So there should be an incident report for anything where you have indication of problems in case somebody sues later on because something happened, and maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But you have professional suers. Not sewers, but people who sue. So you want to do incident reports. So now go forth and be responsible. Serve responsibly. we're done. Thanks for taking the course. Now you'll sign up for the exam and get your voucher to pay for the ServSafe Alcohol video and take the CAS examination and then the ServSafe Alcohol examination. Any questions before you test, send me a note or give me a call. So again, you're gonna go to the website and sign up and pay. This part was free. So now you have to pay for the Certified Alcohol Service, CAS certification, and that will pay for both that certification test, which we're going to suggest you take before you do the ServSafe Alcohol. So you're going to sign up, then you're going to do the ServSafe Alcohol video, then you're going to take the CAS test, and then when you do okay on that, then you're going to take the ServSafe Alcohol exam. Thanks, good luck, and we'll see you down the road.